because she's mid-season. But I think that injury is really tough because it lingers. No matter how much medicine you take, you can feel fine. You get back out there, one move, one change of direction, and boom, you're right back feeling that same type of pain. So it's going to be a tough injury that she's going to have to manage.
An amazing boost. But again, I'm just going to put my coach's hat on, my GM hat on, you want to see Caitlin Clark for the longevity of her career. I'm just thinking, me personally, I would not put Caitlin Clark back on the floor this season. And the only reason why I say that is because I had the injury that she had. That deep groin injury is nothing to play around with. It can feel like you've never had it. You made one move, one cut, boom, she's back in the same spot. I don't know that
The arena felt like it stopped breathing the second Lisa Leslie opened her mouth, because no one was prepared for what she was about to say about Caitlin Clark's groin injury. What was supposed to be a routine update turned into a shockwave that ripped through the WNBA, leaving fans stunned, analysts scrambling, and the league holding its breath. "This isn't just soreness," Lisa said carefully, her tone instantly shifting the mood from concern to alarm. "This is the kind of injury that changes timelines, expectations, and sometimes careers." Those words hit like a punch to the gut. Social media exploded within seconds. Clips of the interview replayed endlessly. Fans panicked, arguing over every frame of Caitlin walking to the bench, every grimace, every moment she grabbed her hip. Caitlin Clark, the engine of the league's momentum, the face of record-breaking ratings, the rookie carrying impossible expectations, was suddenly fragile, vulnerable, human. And Lisa's expression said more than her words ever could. She wasn't speculating. She wasn't guessing. She was warning. "People don't understand how tricky this injury is," Lisa continued. "You rush it, you lose more than games." That single sentence sent chills through the basketball world. Because this wasn't just about Caitlin missing a few games. This was about pressure. About a league that needs her. About a player who refuses to sit. And about a body that might not cooperate with hype, schedules, or expectations. As the clip ended, one terrifying question echoed everywhere. Is the WNBA pushing its biggest star toward a breaking point? Long before Lisa Leslie's words sent shockwaves through the WNBA, Caitlin Clark's body had been quietly sending warnings that almost no one wanted to hear. The groin injury didn't appear out of nowhere. It crept in through the cracks created by relentless minutes, non-stop travel, physical defensive schemes, and a rookie season unlike anything the league had ever seen. From the moment Caitlin stepped onto a WNBA court, the expectations were crushing. Sellouts everywhere. National broadcasts every night. Media obligations stacked on top of practices. Opponents treating every possession against her like a personal mission. She didn't just play basketball, she carried momentum, ratings, and an entire league's narrative on her back. And Caitlin...
that Caitlin Clark is currently dealing with. And Lisa Leslie said, if it was up to me, if I'm the coach, if I'm the GM, I'm not risking it for the biscuit. An 8th seed? Nah.
Wired to compete and conditioned to endure, never complained. Privately, the discomfort started weeks earlier. A tug here, tightness there. Training staff monitored it carefully, limiting representatives when they could, adjusting warm-ups, massaging soreness that refused to disappear. But Caitlin kept pushing. She always had. At Iowa, she played through pain, through bruises, through exhaustion. Sitting out never felt like an option. It felt like letting people down. Teammates noticed the change first. The extra stretch between plays. The way she lingered a second longer after whistles. The way she grimaced when she exploded off her left leg. Coaches noticed too. But the season didn't slow down. The schedule didn't care. And neither did the defenders grabbing, bumping, and hacking her every night. The emotional weight of the injury was heavier than the physical pain. Caitlin knew what her presence meant. Every game without her was a ratings hit. Every missed matchup was a disappointment to fans who paid premium prices just to see her play. She felt that responsibility deeply. It wasn't ego, it was pressure. Pressure to push through. Pressure to prove she belonged. Pressure to silence critics who claimed she couldn't handle the physicality of the league. And so she did what elite competitors do. She ignored the warning signs and trusted her toughness to carry her through. Lisa Leslie understood this instinct immediately. She'd lived it. She'd watched stars ruin seasons, and sometimes careers, by dismissing groin injuries as manageable. The groin isn't dramatic like an ACL. It doesn't snap loudly or collapse you instantly. It whispers. It tightens. It compensates. And that's what makes it dangerous. Lisa had seen players rush back too early, only to trigger cascading injuries, hips, hamstrings, backs, because the body never fully recovered. That's why her tone during the interview carried so much weight. She wasn't speculating. She was speaking from experience, from scars earned the hard way. Behind the scenes, Caitlin wrestled with something fans never saw: fear. Not fear of pain, but fear of absence. Fear of losing rhythm. Fear of letting her team down. Fear of missing the chance to prove herself on the biggest stages. She didn't want to be labeled fragile. She didn't want whispers that she couldn't handle the league's grind. And she especially didn't want to be the reason momentum stalled. That internal battle took a toll. Every decision felt loaded. Sit and protect the future, or play and honor the present. The WNBA itself was walking a tightrope. Caitlin's rise had changed everything: ticket sales, sponsorships, TV deals. But with that rise came responsibility. Medical staffs urged caution. Coaches balanced competitiveness with long-term vision. Executives watched nervously, knowing the optics of pushing a young star through injury would be devastating. Yet the league also knew something else. Caitlin Clark didn't need to be forced. She wanted to play. That desire complicated everything. Lisa Leslie's update cracked the illusion of control. It forced everyone to confront the truth that had been hovering quietly in the background. Caitlin Clark wasn't invincible. She was human. And her body was absorbing a season's worth of pressure in real time. Fans who idolized her suddenly felt protective. Critics sharpened their knives. Analysts argued timelines. And Caitlin, caught in the middle, felt more exposed than ever. The backstory of this injury isn't just about muscles and recovery wins.
But again, I'm just going to put my coach's hat on, my GM hat on, you want to see Caitlin Clark for the longevity of her career? I'm just thinking, me personally, I would not put Caitlin Clark back on the floor this season. And the only reason why I say that is because I had the injury that she had. That deep groin injury is nothing to play around with. It can feel like you've never had it. You made one move, one cut, boom, she's back in the same spot. I don't know that it's worth it.
It's about the collision between ambition and preservation. Between a rookie who refuses to slow down and a league that can't afford to break her. Lisa Leslie's warning wasn't meant to scare, it was meant to stop the spiral before it became irreversible. Because everyone who's been around the game long enough knows the truth. Groin injuries don't announce themselves loudly. They wait. And if you ignore them long enough, they decide for you. The conflict erupted the moment Lisa Leslie's warning stopped being treated as commentary and started being treated as prophecy. What fans first heard as concern quickly hardened into panic when Caitlin Clark was listed as day-to-day for the third straight game, an innocuous label on paper, but a terrifying one in reality. Day-to-day meant uncertainty. It meant no timeline. It meant the groin wasn't responding the way anyone hoped. Inside the league, alarm bells rang quietly. Medical staff grew cautious. Coaches grew evasive. Caitlin grew restless. And the tension between what her body needed and what the moment demanded reached a breaking point that no amount of optimism could hide. Behind closed doors, Caitlin pushed back hard against any suggestion of extended rest. She argued she could manage it. That the pain was tolerable. That she could adjust her game. She promised she'd avoid explosive cuts, reduce drives, play smarter. The words sounded reasonable, but every trainer in the room knew better. Groin injuries don't negotiate. They punish compensation. They wait for one wrong step, one late rotation, one moment of instinct overriding caution. Still, Caitlin's competitiveness made the discussion volatile. She wasn't reckless. She was desperate. Desperate not to lose momentum. Desperate not to let critics define her durability. Desperate not to disappear when the league spotlight was brightest. The first shocking twist came during a nationally televised game. Caitlin insisted on playing despite visible limitations. Early on, everything looked manageable. She knocked down jumpers. She smiled through contact. The crowd roared every time she touched the ball. But midway through the second quarter, it happened. A routine defensive slide. A quick pivot to contest a pass. And suddenly, she froze. Not dramatically. Not collapsing. Just a subtle hitch, a sharp inhale, a hand instinctively grabbing her hip. Cameras caught it immediately. Lisa Leslie, watching from the studio, went silent. The broadcast team stumbled over words. Caitlin jogged to the bench, face tight, jaw clenched, refusing eye contact with anyone. The arena buzzed with confusion. Was it precaution? Was it nothing? Or was it exactly what everyone feared? Inside the tunnel, the truth surfaced brutally. Caitlin sat on the training table, eyes glassy, breathing shallow as medical staff assessed her. The pain wasn't catastrophic, but it was worse. Sharper. Deeper. The kind of pain that signals strain turning into damage. The kind of pain that doesn't fade with adrenaline. Trainers exchanged looks they tried to hide. Caitlin noticed anyway. She always did. When the lead trainer finally spoke, his voice was calm, but his words landed like a hammer. If you keep playing on this, you're risking months, not weeks. That sentence changed everything. For Caitlin, it felt like the floor vanished beneath her. Months meant more than recovery time. It meant lost rhythm, lost confidence, lost narrative. It meant watching instead of competing. It meant silence where noise once lived. And the internal conflict detonated. She wanted to argue. She wanted to bargain. But deep down, she knew Lisa Leslie had been right. This injury wasn't going away by willpower alone. The shock didn't stop there. Hours after the game, another twist surfaced, this one off the court. An anonymous source leaked that Caitlin had been advised to sit earlier but declined, choosing to play through discomfort to protect continuity. The leak sparked instant backlash. Fans split violently. Some accused the team of negligence. Others blamed Caitlin for stubbornness. Critics resurrected old narratives about her not being built for the league. And Caitlin, scrolling through the chaos alone in her hotel room, felt the crushing weight of public judgment for a decision that had never felt like a choice at all. The league found itself in an impossible position. Protect Caitlin by shutting her down, and risk accusations of mishandling its biggest star. Let her decide, and risk a catastrophic injury under national scrutiny. Coaches met late into the night. Executives discussed optics. Medical staff stood firm. And Caitlin sat silently, staring at her phone, realizing that her body had forced a confrontation no one wanted. Lisa Leslie spoke again the next morning, and this time her message was blunt. "This is the moment that defines a career," she said. "Not how tough you are, but how smart you're willing to be." Her words cut through the noise like a blade. This wasn't about fear. It was about survival. The first shocking twist wasn't the flare-up itself. It was the realization that Caitlin Clark, the most driven competitor in the league, might have to choose rest over relevance. And as the pressure mounted, one truth became impossible to ignore. If Caitlin didn't step back now, the game would step away from her later. The escalation began the moment Caitlin Clark was officially ruled out, not resting, not limited, but unavailable, a single word that detonated anxiety across the league. The announcement landed without ceremony, yet its impact was seismic. Ticket prices dipped. Broadcast promos were quietly edited. Opposing teams adjusted scouting reports overnight. And inside the building, a strange stillness settled in, the kind that only appears when everyone knows something fragile has finally cracked. Caitlin sat alone after practice, ice wrapped tight, eyes fixed on the floor, replaying every choice that led here. She wasn't angry. She was hollowed out by the realization that pushing harder hadn't made her stronger. It had brought her to a standstill. Medical evaluations intensified, and with them came uncomfortable truths. Imaging revealed compensatory stress patterns creeping into adjacent muscle groups, early warning signs that the injury was no longer isolated. The groin had become the doorway. The hips and lower back were next. Trainers spoke carefully, choosing words like cascade and chain reaction, explaining how one stubborn return could trigger months of setbacks. Caitlin listened, nodding, absorbing every syllable like a sentence she didn't want to hear but couldn't ignore. This wasn't about pain tolerance anymore. It was about trajectory. The second major twist struck when Lisa Leslie, pressed again for clarity, delivered a statement that reframed everything. "This isn't a setback," she said. "It's a crossroads." She explained how elite shooters often underestimate how much their power comes from subtle lower body mechanics: planting, torque, deceleration, tiny movements that groin injuries sabotage first. "You can shoot through it," Lisa added. "You can even score through it. But you can't move through it forever." The implication was chilling. Caitlin's greatest weapon, her movement, was at risk if patience didn't replace pride. Behind the scenes, a quiet standoff formed. Caitlin wanted a concrete return date. The staff refused. Coaches wanted clarity for rotations. The trainers insisted on milestones, not calendars. The league watched closely, wary of optics, determined not to repeat mistakes of the past where stars were rushed and regrets followed. Every conversation circled the same truth: no one could promise a quick fix. And that uncertainty gnawed at Caitlin more than the injury itself. Then came the leak that escalated everything. A respected insider reported that Caitlin had turned down a short-term pain management option, an approach that might have masked symptoms enough to play limited minutes. The report framed it as maturity, a sign she finally chose longevity over optics. But it also exposed how close she had been to taking the risk. Fans argued fiercely. Some praised her restraint. Others questioned why the option was even discussed. The discourse sharpened, and Caitlin felt the weight of every opinion press against her recovery like extra gravity. The twist deepened when a closed practice clip surfaced showing Caitlin moving freely during light drills. Smooth footwork, clean releases, no visible limp. The internet seized it instantly. "She's fine," critics declared. "They're being cautious for ratings." Trainers were furious. What the clip didn't show was the aftermath, the stiffness that followed, the tightness that returned after cooldowns, the nights that ended with frustration and ice instead of rest. Recovery isn't linear, but the public demanded it be. Lisa Leslie stepped in again, sharper now. "That's the trap," she said. "Looking good isn't being ready. Feeling okay isn't being healed." She told a story from her own career about a return that felt right until it didn't, about the single step that turned caution into consequence. Her words weren't dramatic. They were surgical. And they landed. Inside the locker room, Caitlin's absence reshaped dynamics. Teammates shouldered more creation. Defenses adjusted. The game slowed. Some players thrived. Others struggled. Caitlin watched from the sideline, clapping, encouraging, hurting in a way that had nothing to do with muscle fibers. She hated watching the game move without her. She hated feeling replaceable. But she also noticed something else: how much pressure she'd been carrying without realizing it. How much space opened when she stepped back. The realization was uncomfortable, then oddly freeing. The second major twist arrived quietly during a follow-up evaluation when the head trainer delivered a verdict that surprised everyone. Progress was real, but only because she had stopped chasing it. "You're improving," he said. "Not because you're tougher. Because you finally let the body lead." The message reframed the narrative. Rest wasn't surrender. It was strategy. That night, Caitlin made a decision that shocked the league more than any update. She released a short statement, measured, calm, unmistakably firm, announcing she would sit through the next critical stretch regardless of pressure, optics, or speculation. No timelines. No promises. Just commitment to recovery. The reaction was immediate and polarized. Some applauded the maturity. Others panicked about momentum. But one thing was undeniable: Caitlin had taken control of the story. Lisa Leslie responded with a single sentence that echoed everywhere: "This is how careers last." As the weeks ahead loomed uncertain, the escalation settled into something steadier, more dangerous than chaos: patience. Because now the league had to wait. Opponents had to adjust. Fans had to trust. And Caitlin had to learn a lesson every great player faces eventually. That greatness isn't just built by playing through pain, but by knowing when to stop before pain plays you. And as the cameras dimmed and the noise softened, one question lingered, heavier than all the rest. When Caitlin Clark returns, Will she be the same, or something stronger? The public fallout arrived in waves, not all at once, each one heavier than the last. Caitlin Clark's announcement to sit through the critical stretch didn't quiet the noise, it reorganized it. The conversation shifted from panic to judgment, from fear to interpretation. Some fans applauded the maturity, calling it the smartest decision of her young career. Others accused her team of hiding the truth, of managing optics instead of injuries. A smaller but louder group questioned her toughness, resurrecting tired narratives about whether she could withstand the physical grind of the WNBA. Caitlin read none of it at first. Then she read all of it. And the whiplash was brutal. Inside arenas, the absence was tangible. Cameras panned to empty seats where fans had expected to see her warm up. Broadcasters adjusted their tone, filling time with speculation instead of highlights. Teammates felt the pressure to prove they were fine without her, a pressure that weighed differently on each of them. Some rose to it. Some cracked under it. And Caitlin watched from the sideline, hands folded, jaw tight, learning how powerless it feels to be central to a story you're no longer allowed to control. The league faced its own reckoning. Caitlin's injury had become a mirror, reflecting how quickly a player can be transformed from asset to anxiety. Executives emphasized caution in public while privately tracking ratings dips and fan sentiment. Coaches defended medical decisions while absorbing criticism meant for no one in particular. The WNBA had long preached player-first values. Now it was being tested on the biggest stage imaginable. Protecting Caitlin meant enduring short-term losses, and not everyone was patient enough to accept that trade-off. Lisa Leslie's voice cut through the chaos again, this time softer, steadier, almost protective. "This is what caring looks like," she said. "It's not loud. It's not heroic. It's choosing tomorrow over tonight." Her words resonated with veterans who had lived through similar moments and with younger players who suddenly saw the road ahead more clearly. But they also sharpened the divide with critics who wanted immediacy, certainty, reassurance that nothing fundamental had changed. Something had changed. Caitlin had changed. And the public was struggling to keep up. Emotionally, the toll was heavier than Caitlin expected. She missed the routine, the adrenaline, the small battles within games that made the noise fade away. Rehab was quiet, methodical, lonely. Progress came in inches, not points. And in those quiet hours, doubt crept in, not about the decision, but about identity. Who was she if she wasn't playing? What did value look like when contribution was invisible? Those questions had no easy answers, and they sat with her long after workouts ended. Teammates checked in constantly. Some confided their own fears about injuries, about careers that hinge on bodies that don't always cooperate. Caitlin listened more than she spoke. The injury had stripped her of the illusion of control and replaced it with empathy. She began to see the league differently, not as a stage she had to dominate, but as a community navigating fragile balances together. That shift didn't make the waiting easier, but it made it meaningful. Fans, too, evolved in real time. The loudest voices burned hot and then burned out. In their place, quieter support emerged. Messages about patience, about health, about longevity. Parents wrote about kids learning that rest isn't failure. Former players shared stories of comebacks that only happened because someone insisted on stopping early. The noise didn't disappear, but it softened around the edges. The conversation matured, even if unevenly. The fallout reached a poignant moment during a nationally televised game when cameras caught Caitlin standing during a timeout, diagramming spacing with a teammate, fully engaged despite the brace hidden beneath her warm-ups. The image spread quickly, not as controversy, but as reassurance. She wasn't gone. She was learning a different way to be present. And that presence mattered. Still, the question lingered everywhere she went, unspoken but heavy. What happens next? Recovery timelines resist prediction. Bodies respond on their own terms. Caitlin felt stronger some days and fragile on others. The public wanted a date. The league wanted clarity. She wanted honesty. And honesty meant accepting uncertainty. As the season moved forward without her, the emotional fallout settled into something steadier, acceptance mixed with anticipation. The league adjusted. The team adapted. Caitlin rebuilt, slowly, deliberately, away from the spotlight she once carried effortlessly. And in that quiet rebuilding, a new tension formed, not fear of return, but expectation of it. Because when Caitlin Clark comes back, the world won't just watch to see if she can play. They'll watch to see who she has become. The final twist arrived not with a dramatic press release or a viral clip, but with a single, carefully chosen sentence buried deep inside a routine medical update. One line that instantly set the entire basketball world on edge. The report stated that Caitlin Clark's groin injury was responding positively to load management, but added a quiet, chilling qualifier. Return to play will depend on functional stress testing under live conditions. To casual fans, it sounded harmless. To veterans, trainers, and former players like Lisa Leslie, it sounded like a warning bell. Live conditions meant unpredictability, explosive movements, contact, reaction without hesitation. The very things that couldn't be simulated safely in practice. The truth settled in fast. Caitlin wasn't close to being cleared, not because she wasn't improving, but because the final hurdle was the most dangerous one. Behind the scenes, that sentence triggered a wave of urgency. Coaches debated how to reintroduce her without risking relapse. Medical staff designed progressive tests that left no margin for ego. Executives worried about timing, optics, and expectations. Caitlin felt the tension immediately. Every drill became an evaluation. Every movement was watched. Every good day raised hope. Every tight morning reignited fear. Progress was no longer measured in pain levels, but in trust. Trust that her body would respond when instinct took over. And instinct, she knew, didn't negotiate. Lisa Leslie weighed in one last time, her voice carrying the gravity of someone who had lived through this exact moment. "This is where careers are protected or compromised," she said. "You don't lose a season here. You lose years if you're wrong." Her words weren't dramatic, they were surgical. And they reframed the conversation once again. The question wasn't when Caitlin could return. It was how. Then came the unexpected development that sent shockwaves through the league. During a closed scrimmage, strictly controlled, no media allowed, Caitlin participated in limited live representatives for the first time. By all accounts, she looked sharp, fluid, confident. The ball snapped off her fingers. Her footwork was clean. Teammates buzzed. Staff nodded. For a brief moment, optimism surged. But afterward, in the quiet of the training room, Caitlin admitted something she hadn't said out loud before. "It felt good," she said. "But it didn't feel free." The words landed heavily. Feeling good wasn't enough. Feeling free meant moving without thinking, and she wasn't there yet. The cliffhanger tightened days later when the team announced Caitlin would travel with the squad for an upcoming marquee matchup. Not to play, to observe, to feel the environment, to test readiness without minutes. Fans exploded with speculation. Was this a signal? A tease? A setup for a dramatic return? Or a protective step toward reality? Cameras followed her arrival. Analysts read into body language. Caitlin stayed composed, refusing to feed the frenzy. She knew the truth. The decision was coming fast, and it wouldn't be simple. On the morning of the game, Caitlin met privately with the head trainer and the coach. No cameras. No statements. Just honesty. They laid out two paths. 1. Return in a limited role, accept the risk, trust the work. 2. Sit longer, protect the body, sacrifice momentum. Both carried consequences. One risked re-injury. The other risked rust, scrutiny, and impatience. Caitlin listened, breathing slow, weighing more than a game. She was weighing who she wanted to be on the other side of this. As warm-ups began, the arena roared. Caitlin sat on the bench in full uniform. The crowd chanted her name. Teammates looked to her for cues. The clock ticked toward tip-off. And in that suspended moment, noise swelling, cameras closing in, the decision remained unannounced. Then the buzzer sounded. The starters were called. And Caitlin Clark stood up. The crowd exploded. But before she took a step, the coach grabbed her arm, whispered something inaudible. Caitlin paused, looked back at the bench, at the floor, at her body. The moment stretched. The world held its breath. And the question that had haunted this entire journey sharpened to a single point. Would Caitlin Clark choose courage or caution when the game finally asked her to decide? This moment isn't just about a groin injury. It never was. It's about how a league treats its brightest light when that light flickers. It's about whether patience can survive pressure, whether wisdom can beat urgency, and whether a generational star is allowed to grow without being consumed by expectations that never sleep. Caitlin Clark's pause forced the WNBA, and everyone watching, to confront an uncomfortable truth. Greatness isn't proven by how much pain you can hide, but by how well you protect what makes you great in the first place. Lisa Leslie's warning wasn't fear-mongering. It was legacy speaking to the future. Brittany Griner's empathy, the trainer's restraint, the coach's hesitation, all of it points to a league standing at a crossroads between short-term spectacle and long-term stewardship. Fans have power here. Media has power here. Pressure shapes outcomes. And the way this moment is handled will echo far beyond one season or one player. So slow the noise. Let recovery be real. Resist the urge to turn uncertainty into accusation. Celebrate restraint as strength. Because if Caitlin Clark is rushed and breaks, everyone loses. And if she waits and returns whole, stronger, freer, wiser, the game wins. Support doesn't mean demanding timelines. Belief doesn't mean ignoring biology. Loyalty doesn't mean pushing someone past their limits. This is the test, not of Caitlin's toughness, but of our patience. When she comes back, she won't just be returning from injury. She'll be returning from a moment that tried to define her by absence instead of potential. And how we respond now will shape the kind of league the WNBA becomes. One that burns through stars, or one that protects them. The next chapter will be written soon. Make sure it's written with care.